I've got a quick little quiz for you. I am standing in front of two brand new Toyota all-electric cars. And the question is an easy one. Which one of these two is the BZ and which one is the CHR? I'll give you a little bit of time to think about it. Still thinking? Any ideas? Well, in this video, I'm going to show you the difference between the Toyota BZ and the Toyota CHR. For all you Toyota electric aficionados, you'll know that the BZ, once upon a time, was the BZ4X, and the BZ in BZ stands for Beyond Zero. And for all of you Toyota aficionados, you'll know that the CHR was once upon a time powered by a gasoline engine, not an electric motor, and that CHR stands for Coupe High Rider. Let me show you. So while both of these cars are built on basically the same internal platform, the difference in the BZ is that it's more of a traditional crossover. So you've got the rear door with a traditional handle that's not hidden. But since the CHR is a coupe, or coupe if you're British, it's got a much more slope back, and they've hidden the handle to make it appear like a coupe, even though it has, well, 4, or if you count the back, 5 doors. And that's really the difference. Of course, the two cars are different in length. The wheelbase on the BZ is 112 inches versus 108 inches for the CHR. So if you're looking for the bigger family car, that's the BZ. And if you're looking for the more nimble, sportier EV, that's of course the new electric CHR. There are other differences as well. Now, at the beginning of this video, I asked you to tell them apart from the front, and I wasn't fair because I picked two white ones, so they're very similar. But the difference is in the lower fascia. They both have lights, but if you look on the CHR, it's got a little bit of a cutaway down here, whereas this one has much more of a straight line. And the noses on them have a little bit of a different cutout. But the biggest difference is actually here on top of the hood. The BZ has this cutout in the hood up here, whereas the CHR doesn't have it, and that's really the easiest way to tell the two apart. In terms of charging, the BZ is no longer CCS, but it is NACS, in other words, the Tesla standard, North American Charging Standard, which opens up all the Tesla superchargers. And the CHR, let's take a look, is of course also NACS. So Toyota has now completely gone over to the Tesla standard, which is probably a good thing for all of you folk, because the Tesla network is by far the biggest, as a lot of you electric Toyota fans know. From behind the wheel, they're pretty much identical. Giant, relatively giant screen right there. You have this Prius-like main dashboard which juts out in front of the steering wheel. That's a little weird. I've heard that the reason for that is for elderly folks, like me, I guess. It is now easier for us to focus on the road and on the important information if it's farther out. I'm not sure I love that, but this is a Toyota, so you still have traditional temperature controls. You have a volume knob. You have real vent controls, 2 Qi wireless chargers, X mode a la Subaru, because Toyota and Subaru have been partnering on a lot of cars. Of course, you'll note that the BZ is the Solterra in Subaru trim, and a relatively thick steering wheel, plenty of headroom, comfortable seats. This particular spec of the BZ has cloth seats, and there is this kind of, well, it's an electric car, so they have to change the shifter around, so there is this kind of rotary dial for shifting the car with a big P. And unlike Tesla, Toyota has stayed with the traditional power button. I'm not a big fan. I kind of like the fact that if you're an electric car, do you really need that power button? If you're coming out of a Tesla, I promise you, you're going to leave the car on because you'll be used to just pushing on the brake and walking out of the car and the car turning itself off. But with the Toyota, you still have to do it the old-fashioned way with a button. That would be a key, but that would be way too old-fashioned. Of course, in the second row, things do change a little bit because obviously the BZ has more legroom. Look at this. I mean, look at all this room I have. Look at all the headroom I have. I do like these semi-cloth seats. I also like the fact that manufacturers are now putting in these very rugged rubber floor mats, and that's great, especially if you plan on having kids or a dog or going off-roading. And then, of course, nice armrest back here. It's a very comfortable place to be. 2 USB-C ports, two little kind of plasticky vents, but hey, at least they're not in the screen. But let's see how much room I have in the coupe high rider. So can you tell which car I'm behind now? Of course you can, because I started in the BZ, so I have to be in the CHR. But from the driver's point of view, the two cars are almost identical when it comes to the infotainment, when it comes to the screen layout, when it comes to the steering wheel, when it comes to much of the features of these cars. You can't really get Teslas or Fords or GM's semi-autonomous FSD Blue Cruise Super Cruise, but Toyota does have their suite of safety, which includes lane centering, blind spot monitoring. But let me ask you another quiz. How can you tell the difference between the BZ and this XSE CHR from behind the steering wheel? There is one simple way, and it is right down there. So you'll note that we are missing Subaru's X mode. In fact, we only have a snow button and different eco modes, but no X mode. So if you're going to go off-road, or if you want to go off-road, there is a woodland version of the BZ called the BZ Woodland, which can be had with all-terrain tires. And if you want to see that video, head on over to alltfl.com. I remember when the CHR first came out. I actually saw it at the Geneva Auto Show when it was unveiled. And the thing that struck me about this car is that this is really designed more for European markets. I mean, it is relatively compact, and it is a world car. And Toyota always looks to have a car that it can sell in more than one market. So I kind of feel like this vehicle is designed more to be in urban situations, specifically tight European cities, than in America. And one of the hints to that is my big American butt and my big American hair. Yes, I still have hair. There you go. That one's for you, Nathan. Doesn't quite fit back here. My legroom is very tight. My knees are kind of up in my face. I don't have a lot of headroom. And I just feel like this is a little bit claustrophobic. But because this is the XSE, which is a higher trim, I do have this giant sunroof, which does make it a little bit more, well, airy in here. And I do have heated seats and vents. And once again, two USB-C ports and a rubber floor mat. You know, for somebody who's 6'2" and over 200 pounds, it's relatively comfortable back here. Never let it be said of the TFL, we don't give you exact dimensions of the space behind the second row. In this case, it's about the size of one Roman. But you do have actually quite a bit of space back here. There are some thoughtful features. This being an all-electric car, of course, you have a power outlet, AC 120 volts, and under here I'm guessing that this does not have a spare tire, which it doesn't, because for some reason electric cars don't come with spare tires. But overall, if you want a bigger car, even with this kind of, you know, coupe-like hatch, there is a lot of room in the BZ. Howdy. Yes, indeed, I do fit. All right, I'm cheating. I put the second row down because obviously this is a high rider, and if I were to try to squeeze myself back here, I think I would do some damage. So obviously there is a lot less room in the back of the CHR. Well, I'm not saying a lot less room, but less room, and that's because it is a much sportier car. You still have the power outlet back here, same 120 volt, and then under here, no spare tire, but this time you get a charging setup and a little spare, or at least a little inflator kit for the replacement for the non-existent spare tire. So the question now is, do they drive differently? Well, there's only one way to find out. Let's take them for a ride. All right, let's power this 2026 CHR up and take it for a drive. Now, a couple interesting facts. From 2018 to I think 2022, this was a car that was powered by an internal combustion engine, and it was kind of a European car that Toyota brought here. And if you were, let's say, young and urban and you needed a nice little runabout, this would have been a good choice. But it always felt more like a European car than an American car, and that hasn't really changed. Like I said, it does share a platform with the BZ. So in this all-wheel drive version, and that's the only way you can get this, is a dual motor all-wheel drive. It has just under 75 kilowatt hour battery, range is about 290 miles, which is kind of where we're at right now. I'd like to see it over 300, but 290 is where we're at. And Toyota says that it charges from 10 to 80% in about 30 minutes. And I'm guessing, because I don't think Toyota has actually released this number yet, that is a 150 kilowatt charging speed from a NACS charger. And I think those are probably the most critical numbers. Let's talk about the top 5 things that I like about this car. First and foremost, I do love the fact that it has this giant sunroof. It makes it very airy, it makes it very modern. That's number 5. I'll do it in a typical TFL fashion. Number 4 is that the seat is very comfortable. Toyota does a good job in making seats that are very comfortable for big guys like me. There is plenty of room. I think Toyota says that the amount of room, at least in the front seat, is identical between the BZ and the CHR, which is great. So if you're tall, this might be a good car for you. Number 3 on my list are the traditional controls. So while this is very much screen-centric, software-defined vehicle, we do have traditional volume knob, traditional temperature knobs, which makes it easy to operate. Number 2 on my list is the fact that you can get Android Auto and Apple CarPlay. The more I spend time behind the wheel of these cars, the more that becomes a critical feature for me, because it's just something that's very easy to live with. And the number 1 thing that I like about this car is that it's quick, about 0 to 60 in 5 seconds. So yeah, that is not quite tunnel vision quick, but it is quick. And with that, let's go to my top 5 things that I don't like about this car. And some of them are kind of nitpicky, but at some point, these do represent things that are important to me. So at number 5 is the fact that while as a driver I have lumbar support, the passenger does not. I never understood that. Why would you not give lumbar support to the passenger and give it to the driver? It just seems like, you're kind of cheaping out on things. Number 4 is this giant screen. I'm really getting tired of dashboards that are just all screen, and this certainly is all screen. It could be a little bit less obvious. Speaking of screens, I'm not a big fan of having the other screen way out there. All this stuff, the lane keep, the cruise control, the lane centering, those are just little tiny icons. And if indeed Toyota is doing this for older eyes, that is not being helpful. At number 2, while I do like paddle shifters for regen, I think it'd be cooler if this car, kind of like Hyundai has done and Kia, actually had fake shift points. I think if you're going to make a sporty car, it wouldn't take a lot of software and a couple speakers to pipe in some sound, and Toyota certainly has a deep history of race cars. Pick the race car, pick the Supra that you like, Toyota, and give me some fizz with my water being the electric car, and make it a little bit more fun to drive. And the number 1 thing that I don't like is the price, and we'll get to that at the end of this video. All right, I'm in the BZ, which, like I said, has basically the same underpinnings as the CHR, and I'm starting it up, and it does take a little bit of time to start up, as you can tell. Maybe a little bit of too much time, dare I say. That might be one of the things I don't love about it. Warning, okay, come on up. Yeah, that's kind of annoying. It's like having an old computer, right, where it takes too long to start up. Then, okay, I got to press the brake to really fire it up. There we go. It all came to life now. Yeah, a little too much going on there. I think it's going to confuse some people. Now, in terms of horsepower, this one, the all-wheel drive BZ, same 338, but we're looking at more range. It's up 25% from last year's model to 314. The important thing to remember is that they also make, unlike the CHR, a front-wheel drive BZ, and that has a smaller battery and thus less range and less horsepower. But in this video, we're kind of doing apples to apples comparison, so we're talking about this all-wheel drive dual motor BZ and not the front-wheel drive. Unsurprisingly, this BZ drives very similarly to the CHR. That's once again because they're on the same platform. But there is a sense of less airiness in here, and I don't know if you can get the sunroof in this BZ, but I would certainly think about getting it because I think that makes for a much airier, more inviting cabin. You can get the BZ Woodland, which is the off-roady one, like I said, and that one has even less range actually because of the all-terrain tires. So while Toyota has come late to the EV game, it's actually introducing not one, not two, but 3 new EVs in the next year. So CHR, new BZ instead of the BZ4X, and of course a Highlander all electric in 2027, which is interesting because every other company is pulling away from electric cars, just as Toyota is increasing their electric cars. I wonder if Toyota knows something that the others don't. Time will tell, of course. So let's see if this is as quick accelerating as a CHR. And I'm guessing this is going to be a heavier car, so probably not. Yeah, it's still quick. I would say my butt meter says we're still at about 5 seconds, 0 to 60. So while Toyota is branding the CHR as a sportier alternative because of the, of course, coupe-like nature of the car, I'm not sure that from a driving point of view, it's that much different from this BZ. The one thing that I do like about these two cars is that there's this kind of sense of solidity, and in general, electric cars feel more solid, more well-planted, more comfortable on the road because they are heavier. Think of a bus, right? The bus is a very comfortable car, or even a pickup truck for the most part on the road because it's got a lot more weight, it's got a lot more mass, and that gives it a sense of solidity. And I think especially with Toyota, you combine that with the company's reputation for long-term reliability, you end up getting a car that feels like it's put together out of one piece of lithium ion, I guess. I don't know, whatever the battery chemistry is, as opposed to a whole bunch of little pieces. There are no rattles, nothing feels flimsy. And I have to say, even the materials aren't too plastically or too scratchy. It is kind of a sea of gray in this one, which is a shame. I kind of wish that they had gone with a little bit more pizzazz on the interior. But Toyota is, in general, a very conservative company, and it shows on the interior. Once again, we have heated seats and a heated steering wheel, which is nice. Same layout, real vents, 2 Qi wireless chargers, cameras, and then of course this hold feature. And I have a question about this car. So hold keeps the car from creeping, but in their internal combustion engine cars, what Toyota does is it resets this so that when you turn the engine on and off, it goes back to creeping. And I really hate that because one of the nice things about electric cars is that you don't have to necessarily keep your foot on the accelerator. So let me show you. So right now, I've just pulled over on the side of the road. I take my foot off, and you can see over here, we got the hold on, and the car is holding. And now if I press that down, I got to press the brake down, the car will start creeping. So the question I have is, I'm turning on hold, so hold is on, and now I'm going to go to the grocery store. Not really, but let's pretend. Open the door, just picked up some ice cream because I love ice cream. Come back in, power it back up. And will the hold be where I set it, or will it be turned off? I'm going to bet it's turned off. Yep, it's off again. And that's super annoying. I don't understand why car companies do that. And I'm guessing it's because there's attorneys and lawyers involved that say people aren't used to car not creeping, so it better creep. But I'm of the mind that if I tell the car to creep or not creep, it should do what I say, and it shouldn't revert to whatever an engineer or a lawyer decided back in corporate HQ. The other thing that you might be wondering, what does this compete with? And of course, this is in that sweet spot of electric cars, the mid-size crossover, so the Model Y would be an obvious choice. The Ioniq 5, the Mach-E, There's just a slew of mid-size electric crossovers. It's the most popular segment, and for a while, actually, the Tesla Model Y was the most popular, not electric car, but car in the world, until, of course, things got a little political. Anyway, there's not a lot more for me to say because from a drive perspective, from a road feel, from a steering perspective, from a suspension perspective, this BZ is very similar to the CHR. So if you were expecting, for this to be slow and less sporty, you would be wrong. I started out this review by asking a question, which one is a BZ and which one is a CHR? I'm going to end it with a question, and that is, which one do you think is more expensive? I've got the two Monronis right here. I'm going to give you a hint. The BZ doesn't have the massive sunroof. The CHR does have the massive sunroof, and it's got the XSE trim. So out of the two, which one is more expensive? Is it the bigger, more family-friendly one, or is it the smaller, more sporty one? Give you some time to make your guess, and the answer is, yep, the BZ is cheaper, coming in at an MSRP of $41,825, with the only option being premium paint. It's white, okay? But at $43,475, the CHR not only has a $1,000 panoramic roof, but a $600 audio system by JBL, a cold weather package that's $450, two-tone color. Oh, it does have a black roof. I just noticed that. Premium paint as well. Once again, it's white. So I guess if you're looking at the starting price, the CHR is $39,000 and the BZ is $39,900. So without the extras, the CHR is $900 less expensive. With them, it's more expensive. If you want to see me take the BZ Woodland off-road, head on over to All TFL. And as always, this is Roman saying thanks for watching, and thanks to Toyota for flying me out here to Ojai to review these two cars. I'll see you guys next time. Ciao.